Hello, welcome to another episode of Build with Raymond. This episode, I'm going to do something different. Instead of something technical, I'm just going to be reflecting on how I built Wisp so far, and I'm going to start running sprints, and as much as possible, I'm going to try sharing some of these results from the sprint, in public, as much as possible, when I can. So to note, the goal of this is to actually figure out, the first sprint, I want to figure out like what's a good growth rate, and to that is healthy, that will allow us to see a path to profitability and sustainability, but yet on the other end is also keeping to a pace that doesn't cause a burnout, and doesn't over exert on existing resources that we have, right? Noting that Wisp is an entirely bootstrap project, and it's not externally funded, but kind of like bankrolled by myself, right? So I think earlier on I shared a blog post on Wisp, basically talking about I think our first 200 users. Um, if you go on to Wisp blog, build in public, um, I think this blog post over here, I did a quick reflection on basically our first 200 users, and just back then just thinking about like what's a good growth target. So I thought about it. 4% is really doable, like 4% week on week growth um, on some of our primary metrics. But actually, now reflecting on this, I think probably something that would make sense for us is probably closer to 7% week on week, right? At least at this stage of like this startup, we do need to see some levels of growth. So to give you an illustration of what 7% week on week looks like, right? In 52 weeks time, it should have grown about 33 times. So 33 times of what? So let's take a look at users, right? We roughly have about, I think, 250 customers right now. So we should be seeing about 8,000 users end of year, right? And because these are not so much as like B2C direct customers, it's a little bit gray. It's a bit B2B, B2C-ish right now. So it's a rather healthy number, right? And considering that we have made one sale right now, $96, that would net us $3,000 for a trailing 12 months revenue. So revenue doesn't look good at all. But could I live with $3,000 with this in? I think so. I think it probably would have covered at least like server costs and all, not reimbursing me for time and all. But I think that's a great revenue target, right? And I think, of course, more is better, right? Who's there to complain? And right now we have 1,000 blog posts. So that, what does that look like? It looks like 33,000 blog posts at the end of the 1 year from now as well. So 33 times from an annual growth perspective, I think it looks pretty healthy, right? So as I mentioned in the blog post, what are some of the primary metrics that I would use? Weekly active user is something very important, right? That we use to track as a primary metrics right now. And I'm not talking about like the website visitors, kind of like WAUs, but rather how many users actually posted a blog post on our platform, right? So those are my users, and I'm going to use that as to track as the primary metrics. The reason I'm not using revenue right now is because it's still very sporadic. It's, if I were to use it as a metrics, it's not going to be very useful to track the week on week progress, because it's going to look like 0, 0, 0, 0, 100%, 0, 0, 0, 200%, 0, 0. So it doesn't, it's not healthy for me to just kind of benchmark on that until I have like a good baseline on like, okay, it's not such a big jitter yet. So secondary metrics that I'm tracking is revenue, total number of users, and total blog posts that I have on the site. So here's a reflection on like the numbers I just fetched this morning. So in terms of weekly active users, mind you that this is actually users that actually posted a blog post, not so much as like people who visits our sites or people who visits our user site, that number is way bigger, right? But I'm working on something that makes sense, right? So the number that we have today is 34 weekly active user, and it is up 20% from 28 weekly active users the week before, and revenue is stagnant at 98. So in terms of the number of blog posts on our platform, it's growing okay. We are up from 965 blog posts to 1073, so that's up roughly 11%. In terms of number of users, we are up 10% from 250 to 277. So in terms of the numbers that we are hitting, primary metrics, we are hitting the goals that we want, 7%, and the rest are all hitting except for revenue. So would I say this is a good week? It's not too bad. I would like all these numbers to be slightly higher than 70% if possible. But if we maintain at this pace for a while, I think we will start seeing revenue, being up quite a bit soon, right? So these are not healthy number. It shows that what we are doing right now seem to be working. The question is, how can we make it better and actually to maintain this level of growth? So the next thing, just sharing like who are the ones work using our site. So South Planner, right? The wider collective. So right. So this company over here, they have a very cool blog. I mean, they based it off our template, but look, it's amazing, right? What else? I like this. This is I like this. This is actually a chicken blog, a chicken farmer in Turkey, a chicken farm in Turkey, right? So they are using us to power their blog. So all these are powered by the Wisp, and this is interesting. This is actually waste management company in Ghana, right? And you can see there they're using Wisp to power the blogs. So yeah, there you have it. We have some live users, and it looks great. What's next? So what's driving conversion? There's a reason why this is blurred out. So some of our traffic is driving the most of the conversions. So most of it is under one platform, one traffic source. But what I noticed is there are more and more conversions that I have yet to be tracked. I can't tell where they are coming from, and my guess is that all of this are more organic traffic coming in from blog posts, compare posts, and all of that thing. So in the next one sprint, it's also for me to figure out how to tag new users coming in, so that I know where else to optimize and put more effort in. On that note, on organic traffic, this is something I can share. This is what is driving traffic to Wisp site in the last 7 days, right? And you can see, right, 16 clicks on the main site, and the rest are actually mostly blog posts on our site. And actually, this is actually proof that blog actually helps. It would be quite silly if I'm telling people to build a blog and have a content strategy while Wisp blog doesn't drive any traffic. And mind you, I'm not even filtering this by like the type of the path, right? This is actual stats, and it's our blog that is driving all these clicks and impression. You can see it's actually sizable impressions, right, compared to the main site. So something is working on the blog, right? And we want to keep to that performance. Yeah, so I could show more about our search traffic in the future, but this gives you an overview like where we are getting new organic traffic from. So we are starting to see our organic traffic growing, which is good because we are roughly about 3 months in. So there's myths about the SEO thing game, and then you are in some SEO jail in the first 6 months. So I'm really actually looking forward to get out of the SEO jail around the 6 months mark and see where does this really go, right? Because I've been trying to work on tons of useful content as we build Wisp, right? So what's cool? Also some engineering stuff that is happening, and what some cool updates that I have, right? So the first one is the new blog post style. So if you head over to Wisp right now, you would be able to see that there are different filters and categories, and I like to post about my build in public journey. So I'm actually all this blog post, all this video actually will fall into this blog here. So if you are curious about how I build with, how I build customers, how I increase traffic and all that, this is probably one section that you'll be the most interested in. The next thing is I'm also doing case studies, studying different companies on their content and growth strategies. So I'll file them all under here. So I'm using actually this as a new technique as well, reaching out to different founders to kind of like interview them and profile like their company and growth trajectory, right? What works for them and what didn't. So check out some of this if you want the background stories on like how certain companies actually grew to their current levels, right? There's some juice here in terms of like what kind of content strategies can you make use of. Next one is like some topics about growth hacking, right? So these are some of my favorite articles that I like to send to people. So a lot of time people ask me like how I use Reddit. I'm like, okay, go read this. How I use Twitter, you can read that. How to promote on Reddit without breaking self-promotion rules, go read this. So there's plenty of articles here that I give to people quite regularly as as questions come in on like how I do this and how do I do that. Separately, a type of content that I saw work quite well in getting developers on board, aside from the startup founder ICP, is that if I write how-to articles on how to do certain things, right? So this is rather sparse right now. It's not quite the articles that I want, but we are improving on that. Lastly, just for SEO purposes and I'm actually filing content for choosing CMS and answering questions about CMS and basically everything related to CMS just right here. I as much as I don't want to compete with CMS, with it's going to be compared with other CMSs, right? Although it's very much different and it's very niche to like content for marketing kind of like positioning, right? I'm going to be compared with all these other things that does so many other different things, right? Besides just blogging content. So that's where I actually write articles for to put myself out there and just objectively compare with to other products out there in the market. So that's that. So I got new blog style, new categories. If you're curious about specific verticals, you got to go there and take a look at some of these tabs. Right now, I haven't got a newsletter for each of this, and I haven't been actively sending out newsletter either. So that could be some of the things that I will work down the line, right? Next up, something I realized that was very important for onboarding. Was that I see a lot of onboarding drop off when people get confused about this page because it looks empty and people have no idea what to do here. They're like, okay, maybe I'll type my content here. I don't know where they get the idea from. Okay, but I have this section on how to write. Click on it, and then that's me. Doing a quick, I think it's a 6-minute introduction on how you can use this app. And immediately I do see people, after looking at the video, going pro mode and using the / command right here. And then I'm like, okay, the video works really well for onboarding. So that was a huge win in terms of like, it's a small feature, but it actually had huge impact on our onboarding. Next up, I think the whole build in public thing was interesting for people, and at the end, and there's this thing about people like to support people who are just trying and building things, and and I do see it, right? People are writing to me as like, hey, I'm interested in purchasing this, good job being an indie hacker is not easy and all of that. So I really appreciate all this comment, and as much as possible I also like to hear the stories behind all these individuals as well. So if my story works in a way to help guide you, or whether serve as a I don't know, inspiration for you to get started on some side project of your own, and you like to write to me, just feel free to do that, because I always respond to people, right? As long as like you're not doing some sales things right from front, and being like flaky and odd. I always respond to like emails and LinkedIn, you know. And the next thing, there is a kind of like a secret project running behind Wisp, and I'm going to show you the effect of it, right? So these are some of the latest article that was written, and they were all written by AI. I mean, yeah. Uh, and here's the thing that is special about them. They're not like written with LLMs or like ChatGPT. Um, uh, because what it does is that it is research first, right, to find um, sources to back certain claims, right? You can see that a lot of these things are written with sources in mind, right? So you can see right down to GitHub issues that's being mentioned over here. So you can see um, the idea is that I don't want to be using like LLM generated content that is poorly researched and it's just inaccurate. I want content that is backed by data, backed by evidence, and and is objective rather than just subjectively throwing shades at especially other people's project, because what I believe in is that there's a whole universe of like great CMSs fit for different purpose out there, and the purpose of like all this comparison articles really just to help people choose what is great for them, right? And what we want to do is that we want to highlight like what are some real things that people have been saying, right? And it has been doing research on reviews that people have posted and linking to them and then writing it into these articles. So as you know, like writing this kind of articles, you need to be very objective, and it needs to be accurate. So the we have actually a writing agent that works with a research agent that works together to kind of like put this in a place. In fact, I can just do a quick demo on like what's going behind the scene in terms of like the agents working with one another. So so this is an example where like write an article on top 3 story blocks alternative, and then it goes around like story blog review complaints, specifically Reddit, customers review, storybook pain points, bad storybook alternatives, and then it starts visiting some of these pages. You can see it's being blocked. So this is one of the older ones. It got blocked by Reddit anti scraping mechanism, right? And then it goes on and conduct more search, and then finally getting to writing, right? And then it start writing like articles, you can see, right? So yeah, so this is how it works behind the scene for the content. It goes around looking for ideas to write and then actually write it. So that was cool. And I think it's gonna speed us up in terms of like content production soon, which also prompt me to actually split out the blog by section, because I want different people with different needs to be able to navigate like our own blogs, right? So you can see like as much as possible. This is powered by Wisp, right? Each of this is actually just a tag filter, and using like Wisp API and SDK. So there's nothing special that I built specifically for this. Okay. Next up, okay, so just a quick review on what's not yet working for Wisp just yet. So I'm doing cold email to founders who have recently raised, getting good click-through, about 10% click-through, but really not getting any converts just yet. My suspicion is that I'm still having some deliverability issue because I'm using a new domain. On top of that, something that's not quite working is that I'm only getting about 1 to 20 different new leads this way every day. So it's not quite enough to kind of like fuel the demand gen pipeline. So I'm gonna continue experimenting on that and see like if there are ways to actually improve on it. Glossary page is something that we have built, but honestly haven't seen real results with it. So I'm gonna leave it as that. So on that note, right, I'm going to share this quite openly on what might move the needle for Wisp down the line, right? You can see it's a big list. I'm going to cover a few of this. The first one is product hunt launch. So I'm looking to launch in product hunt soon, right? And just doing a little bit of, going to start doing a bit of research out there to see what is going to be needed to do a successful launch, right? The next one is that I'm trying to get into more founders community, right? I'm already tapped into some of the existing ones. I'm just trying new ones as well, but there are some that works and there are some that didn't work, and trying to do more one-to-one calls to just build network, find out what people are struggling with, understand how I can help people, and that could be interesting, right? Building solo is pretty boring. Getting into calls with people who are also building and on this journey can be rather fun. The next one is actually cold outreach to people who are spending on PR articles. So people who are doing like PR outreach to news agencies, that could be interesting, right? Already have some high level thoughts on how I can do that. Just haven't actually put it into plans just yet. Next one is actually on retargeting ads. So I'm not quite ready to do cold ads just yet, because I'm still trying to build my ICPs and whatnot. But to retarget people on my compare path, right? So what's the compare path? So I actually have a lot of like CMS comparison articles here. So easily a couple of hundreds of pages, right? And people come into this organically. So to actually retarget these people based on some metrics, of course, and see if like I can actually get them to convert into customers on my platform. The next one is actually to build more developer-focused article. So I mentioned that on our blog here, the technical blog here is rather sparse. I do want to build this up and reach a different group of audience. So that's one. The next one is actually to add more to do be more active in community stuff like Reddit, on certain threads to be able to provide value for other people, right? I'll talk more about Reddit strategy next time, and getting another starter template out there. So we have one starter template that was pretty well received. So this one, right? And we have another one that I have newly created that is for the Nuxt ecosystem. So this is the first one for the Next.js ecosystem, and this is for the Nuxt.js ecosystem, right? So slightly different people, bunch of people with slightly different layout. So you can see like also read. So gonna make that work and try to get them listed on some sites. The next one is actually to expand on certain marketing case studies. So this few articles actually were pretty well received. The case studies here, right? People are interested in how like other company grows, and typically founders, right? And I like to send some of this to people. So building on this research and actually kind of like finally wrapping up in a big compendium of like how 10, 20 different companies actually go around their growth and content strategy. So that's going to be like a library that maybe I'll put together, right? So that's interesting for me. Next one, right? So I'm starting to see more interesting projects built on top of Wisp, right? Or at least using Wisp. And I would like to do a showcase with like the products, right? Just to give people confidence, not just like, oh, what people said about Wisp, but these are actual stuff that people built on Wisp, right? And people will get excited about that. It's kind of like the testimonial, but I guess more powerful when you can see real products built on it. And finally, this is something that we want to, I've wanted to do for a while now. So for pricing, right, we know that for free plan, there is actually an attribution required. So I'm going to add the Power by Wisp to the end of the article for those on top of the free plan soon. So for those of you who, let's say on the free plan and you don't like that, feel free to move yourself off to the paid plan, right? But otherwise, I'm happy to, always extend the free forever plan. I think it's a great way to just encourage people to write and build. And honestly, like, it's a small little attribution that, just tell people like what you're using, what you use to ship your blog. So that's going to be beneficial for both me and my customers, right? And that's that. So a quick review, 30 minutes review on like what's happening in the last 1-2 weeks and where we will go from here. So to give you a little bit behind the scenes on like what goes in the founder's head when you're thinking about growth, you can see it's not so much about features. I try to not look at features all the time, but to look at the high level goals of like what I'm trying to achieve, and then go down to like what needs to be done. Okay, and you can see like out of all of this, there's probably like one feature to be built here. So let's see how this goes, and I'll update again when I can, probably in yet another YouTube video. But yeah, this is the first time I'm doing a non-technical build with Raymond series. Let me know how much you like it when I go non-technical too, right? Feel free to comment or drop me a note regarding this. Okay, I'll see you again.